Welcome to But Her Lyrics, the show where we delve into the political lyrics of songs I like, songs I wrote, or topics that I think should be a song. I'm Shauna Potter, singer and lyricist for War on Women, and your host. I really like the song we're talking about today. It's from a newish band called Blood Lemon, and it's called Perfect 2. And it's a modern take on that idea that capitalism tries to make you feel bad about yourself just for you to buy more shit. A feeling I'm very familiar with. I remember wrestling with it when reading 17 magazine in junior high. But it's one I still wrestle with. It's exhausting, right? Its methods are much more sophisticated and ever present now because of our reliance and perhaps addictions to our phones and social media. I guess I used to be able to put the magazine away, and I feel like now it's just constantly in my face because I need my phone all the time. So it's a constant struggle to have good, healthy self-esteem, especially if you're part of any marginalized or underrepresented group. But if we're going to stress about it, at least we get to talk to Melanie Radford, bass player and singer, lyricist for Blood Lemon, and current member of Built to Spill, hello, fuck yeah, because she has such a soothing voice, y'all. I'm going to throw this out there. Do not listen to this when you are sleepy. I cannot be responsible for you crashing your car. I am embarrassed to admit how often I unconsciously matched her energy and got a little ASMR-y. But who knows? Maybe that means this will be my most popular episode yet. I don't know. Anyway, up first, Patreon! I'm sending my love to my Patreon recruits, Pupcakes and Pastries, Ronnie Navarro, Nick M, Melissa P, and I'm sending some love to my no, just kidding. I'm sending all kinds of love to my meatheads too. Ben, Isaias, Russell W, Byron, Bob VV, Pete, and Stefan K. If you'd like to support me or my work, please consider upping your tier or gifting a Shauna-specific Patreon membership to a friend if you think they'd be interested in what I do. You can also get a discount if you buy a membership annually instead of month to month. And do not forget about any special benefits your specific membership tier gets. I might owe you a virtual call or some random shout out. I also take requests, you know what I mean? Like, let's get weird. So also don't forget, my patrons get a guest list spot to any War on Women show. So please let me know if I'm coming to your town on this upcoming tour with Helmet we have in late February and March. All right, pitch over. Let's get into this interview. Interview time! Melanie Radford, thank you so much for joining me on But Her Lyrics. Please introduce yourself to everyone.
I'm Melanie, and I play bass for a band called Blood Lemon, and I also play bass for Built to Spill as well.
That is really fun information for me. We're here to talk about your song, Perfect 2. But what can you tell me about splitting your time between two active bands, one of which is like this legacy band that, to my understanding, you've stepped into? And I ask because my band, War on Women, shares a member with Jawbox. And so I feel like there's a lot of similarities there. And it's just interesting to me.
I mean, it's great, like, don't get me wrong, but it's also hard, schedule-wise, there's a lot of planning in advance, and some things will kind of fall through with Build to Spill, and then I can try to fill that up with Blood Lemon stuff, things like that. It's a little weird. Sometimes I feel like I kind of have to have like split personalities in the sense
Really?
of like performing,
Yeah.
You're embodying like different characters when you play, and I'm kind of playing this supporting role in Built to Spill, and then in Blood Lemon I'm a much more active participant in the songwriting and the messages that are coming out. It's also just like inherently, I think, more darker and maybe a little bit more obviously political with Blood Lemon. And with Built to Spill, I'm like, it's not about me in any way, it's about me kind of bringing these amazing iconic songs forward and giving it like a new energy. you know. So yeah, it's definitely a balancing act, I'd say, but really fun regardless, you know.
I, I feel like I should have had Brooks and you talk about that a little bit because you're in the same role. But I can say as like his bandmate in War and Women, when he says something like, "Oh, I'm so excited, we're gonna do this," or "We got asked to do this." I'm like, "What band? Specify! Fucking
Oh
tell
yeah.
me! Do not tease me. We're not
Yeah.
going on tour with Jawbreaker for a month, are we?" And he's like, "No, we're not." Okay, you know, that sort of thing.
You have to specify.
Like, who's we? Define we,
Yeah.
motherfucker.
Yeah. I would say Lisa and Lindsay probably feel the same way in Blood Lemon, I'm sure.
But it's good. It's good. It's good overall, and it's so fucking cool. So yeah. So okay. So that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about just how Blood Lemon came to be, because I think it's kind of a newer band, right? Like,
Yeah.
what's been going on, and what were y'all doing before this, and is there a thesis
Yeah.
to the band? Tell me about it.
Kind of, honestly. So all of us are from Boise, Idaho, and I grew up technically in Nampa, which is a rural town outside of Boise. But then I went to college in Boise, and I kind of became way more enveloped in the music scene there. And Lisa, the guitarist in Blood Lemon, she was in a band called Riggins, and her husband are founding members of the music festival, Treefort Music Fest in Boise.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we just had like this really, I mean, we still do in Boise. It's like this crazy nurturing music scene. And so I just started getting to know different women in the music scene. And at the time I was in a band called Marshall Poole, and it was me and three other guys. And I was in that band since I was like 16. So I was basically just learning how to play music in this band.
Yeah.
Um, and we were gigging a lot but writing our own stuff too. And um, yeah, and so just in the time that I spent in Boise, I got to know a lot of the women in the music scene. And there's actually this fundraising event that brings all the femme musicians together, and it's this band called Mostly Muff, and they play every year to benefit like a nonprofit in Boise, and they play like a whole set that has a theme, and it's like a cover set. And they usually played like every New Year, but then they moved over to every Valentine's Day or Valentine's Day weekend. And so they asked, Lisa was in this band, and it's kind of like this older generation of women musicians. And they asked a group of us, like slightly younger generation, if we wanted to form a band to kind of continue the tradition along.
Mm.
We did, and I formed a band called Purring Mantis with some good friends of mine. And we did these cover sets. Like the first year, I think it was all like breakup songs. And then like the next year we did like all 90s alternative music. And then we did like another year's 60s flower power stuff. Anyway, so it's just like a really great way of like getting to know like because you're inviting all these other ladies from other bands in the Boise music scene, and you're collaborating with each other for the first
Yeah.
time, learning how to work with each other. And God, I learned so much about just working with different people and like
Hmm.
putting together a show like fast, you know? So in all of this, I met Lisa and got closer to her. And I met Lindsay as well, the drummer. And when Marshall Poole was nearing its end, I just knew that I wanted to work with ladies more because I just enjoyed it so much. And um, I was talking to my friend Ivy, who's also in a band called the French Tips. They're really great. And I was like, man, I need to like find a group or like start a new band, maybe with some other ladies, other femmes. And she's like, I think Lisa wants to start another band. And I always thought of Lisa as just like this higher tier musician because Riggins was like a legendary band in Boise. And I was like, no way. Like, there's no way she would want to work with me. And I think like she mentioned it to her, and the next day I got like a text from Lisa, and she's like, "Hey, I hear you want to start a band. I'm very interested."
Oh, cool.
Oh shit. So we got together, and I was so nervous, but we just talked about like the concept of what we wanted like in a band moving forward, and we
Mm,
wanted something that kind of was reminiscent of the music that we like cut our teeth on, like the 90s alt and like Riot Girl and but also give it a more modern, like inform it in a more modern way and give it like our own um I don't know, give it power of modern um politics too, you know.
mm.
And
Do you
so
consider yourselves a political band?
I mean, it's tough because with this new release, it's not nearly as political as our last album was.
You have a new
It,
album coming out soon in 2025,
yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, technically it's an EP. It's coming out in January 17th, and it's a lot less political. I think probably Perfect 2 is the most political song
That's
on that.
why we're talking about it.
Yeah, right? Um, yeah, and but it's definitely how we started was
Hmm.
wanting, because I mean it was 2018, 2019, and we're already so frustrated with things that were going under, you know, Trump presidency and
Hmm.
getting really scared. And in Idaho, we were being directly affected by a lot of that shit.
Hmm.
And later we lost like our, you know, human rights. So yeah, so we were just wanting to form something that was raw and much more I don't know, emotionally charged. And we kind of like figured out like a little blueprint of like bands that we liked and that we kind of wanted to meld together. And Lisa's like, oh, we should, you know, work with Lindsay. Lindsay's a great drummer and percussionist. And the first song that we practiced together, because we just kind of got like a list of like covers and just to get to know each other's playing styles again and kind of try to gel a little bit. And the first song that we played together was Do You Love Me Now by the Breeders. And just the way that it felt so smooth and it just felt so good to play
Mm.
with them that I was like, oh, this band is going to be really cool. I think this is going to work.
Did you
Uh,
also send that song to someone you had a crush on cassette when you were in junior high, or is that just me?
no, but I'm not, you know, not surprised on cassette.
Yes, I guess I'm older
Hell
than you.
yeah.
Yes.
That's
Shout out
great.
to Alex Rosas. Hope
Oh,
he's doing
yeah.
okay. Um,
Best, yeah.
okay, so Perfect 2. So this is already out as a single, but it's going to be on this EP coming out soon, you're saying. It has a very cool music video. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. Um, and just kind of, listening to it, reading the lyrics, it strikes me as a song about capitalism giving consumers like complexes about our perceived imperfections so that we buy products to fix those imperfections so they can,
Yeah.
quote, profit from all that we
Yeah.
do. Lyric reference. Do I have that right? What am I missing?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I think I wrote that song um out of total frustration. I just feel like every time I'm on social media, I'm being told that I need to buy something and something about my life is wrong and I need to fix it. And I think like everyone's going through that.
Hmm.
We need to just kind of be reminded that it's not all true, you know. It's tough because like the whole point of social media was for us to just be able to connect to each other, but now it's just like another ad
Dude.
platform
Yeah.
everywhere. Yeah, and it's all of it, you know. Um, and it's been frustrating as a musician too, because we have to participate and we have to play the game per se. And you know, and we have to just be able to form healthy boundaries with it, and that's really hard. And I just started seeing it affect my friends and family and like and how they want to look and
Mm.
just it's so crazy to me like some of the weird like family like Instagrams and accounts and stuff of like the perfect family. Have you seen those like couples and
I
families?
guess so.
They'll
Yeah.
have like Instagram accounts of just their family.
It's like that's the content, a fucking picture of you by
Totally,
a Christmas
totally. And
tree.
they
Who gives a
like,
shit?
yeah, and they talk about like, these are the products that I buy for my kids, and like
Ugh.
weird shit like that. And it's everywhere. And I started seeing that a lot, like at that time, probably a couple of years ago when I wrote the song. And it just really deeply disturbed me. And they would get like so many followers and like I don't know, it was just super bizarre of like this Fiona Apple called it like the propaganda brochure of a perfect
Oh,
family.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what she was talking about. And I was just so deeply disturbed by it that I was like, I feel like we need to write something to remind people that like what's actually behind these accounts, what's the intention of these
Mm.
what's the intention of these accounts, um and a lot of it is just to make us feel like we need to fix something about our lives and yeah. So I wanted to write a song that was in the perspective of that evil entity, you know?
I was wondering whose perspective is this written from? Because, I see the world for you. You see it different from how I do. Lyric reference. Like, what does that mean exactly?
Yeah, and I'm taking it from the perspective of the evil entity that's telling you what to do,
Okay.
I'm telling you what is sin,
Mm.
I'm telling you how to look at your life, please like indulge yourself on this self.
Mm.
Um, and that's kind of what the idea of the music video too.
Talk to me about the music video and how it's related to the song.
So the main concept of the music video went along with that, and um, I worked with two different people. I worked with the director, and I worked with the animator, and um, the animator James, who is actually Lindsay's husband.
Oh,
Um,
lucky.
yeah, right. Oh my
Because I was
God.
like, animator, cha-ching. Okay.
No, he is. Bless him.
Yeah.
Bless him. He's a great man. He's done so much for us, and we just love working with him. Yeah, and I just told him, I was like, so the song is in this perspective of the entity. I'd like to somehow bring it into the music video of like some kind of weird, like shadow figure, something that's not human behind these messages. And so we created like a concept of like a weird, almost alien-like entity on these phones that these people are looking at. And we worked with Corvette Collective. They are a really great experimental dance group from Boise.
That's so cool.
And yeah, and they were really sweet to work with us, and they were so willing to like, because our ideas were really abstract,
Mm.
they were going to have you guys like sitting and like doing movements. And at first I was like, maybe we'll have them like clamber on top of each other in like a pile and like, I don't know, like we were just kind of thinking of all these different ideas
And
of
were they
like,
like, leave the dancing to us?
yeah, right. Yeah.
We'll take care of this. Don't worry.
Yeah. And they choreograph, the different scenes and the movements and as they're looking at their phones and moving and synchronized. And it was just really cool to see it all come together too, because I wasn't in Boise. I was in Seattle, kind of putting it
Mm.
all together because I live in Seattle now. Um, so it was great working with Grant, the director, because I was able to kind of give him a lot of trust in
Yeah.
putting it together. And I think he just deeply understood the message of what we were trying to go for. So yeah, so they just experimented quite a bit on set, and in the second half, the animation includes the main character, who is played by Marissa, and she is running away from this entity as she is in a dream.
Mm.
And I just wanted something that had some kind of form of hope, or like just something that
Hmm.
makes us feel like we can break out of it, that is possible to get away from. Though, of course, at the end, she wakes up and then she looks back on her phone and walks away because it's so easy to fall back into this stuff.
Yeah,
It's
I was gonna say, what gives you hope? What helps you get out of a cycle of just being glued to your phone, thinking about all the ways you could fix yourself, you know?
um, I mean, it's hard, right? Because it's always in our faces, but I guess just the best thing to do is to make boundaries with your use of it. Easier said than done. Um, but I try nowadays, I look at my phone as like a work tool. So when I'm
Mm.
working, I'm using it. But when I'm not working, I try not to use it as much, unless they're just text messages. But I mean, it's tough. It's tough to, when we want to relax, we want to sit down and we want to like just what we say, what is it? We want to rot for 3 minutes and we just like doom scroll, and it's not healthy. It does a lot to our mental health, especially now. And I actually did see one account that I do follow, and I think a big trick too is to follow people who
Lift the
encourage,
veil.
yeah, follow people who lift the veil and follow people who encourage like limited use,
Mm.
especially creativity, like for musicians. And there's one account that's actually really great. It's called T Day Blogs, and this girl T, who is a blogger and artist, she posted recently about phone use, and she talked about how we're turning into more passive participants in our lives than actual active participants in our lives because we're consuming more than we're creating. And that does a lot to like the human experience and what makes us human.
Hmm. That's
Because
interesting.
it's better to express ourselves and create when we're feeling bad versus shut down and just doom scroll, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Create more than you consume. And I really appreciated that sentiment. I think that's something that we needed we need to really be reminded of. Especially now, like with Trump coming back into presidency, it's tough. Like we're going to have to really be more active participants in our lives, I think.
Yeah. Quick break here, listeners. Just wanted you to know there will be a bonus moment available exclusively for members of my Patreon. Rosie makes an appearance. We're talking more about lyrics, the power and limits of storytellers. It's very cool and very personal and off the cuff. So sign up at patreon.com/Shauna Potter to hear more from this interview with Melanie. Let's get back into the song. Um, so I love, 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 love when that beat comes in at the end, after this really nice slow burn. Super satisfying.
Nice. Thank
And I have a soft spot in my heart for songs that seem like they're two different songs smushed together.
you.
But this is actually not that. Like it makes sense that the the slow part is followed by kind of a more intense epic
Mhm.
thing. Did you ever consider like did this start as like two different songs and you put it together, or it was always this journey, or like tell me about writing the music to this one?
It was the first half that we wrote first. And then I wasn't sure where to take it. And it's becoming kind of a thing that we do a lot in Blood Lemon songs. We have another song called Burned from our first album that was really popular. And it starts off as like just a fast, kind of traditional rock and roll song. And then it breaks down into this super heavy, super slow dirge. And it's just a riff over and over and over until it explodes out.
Yeah.
And we've had so many people be like, I was trying to find that song, but then I would click on it and I'd be like, this isn't the song,
Oh,
you know?
right, right, right. And you're like, no,
Yeah.
listen to the last 30 seconds,
Yeah.
not the
Listen to
first
the
30
whole
seconds.
thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
That's funny.
we have another song in the new EP coming up called Her Shadow. And it starts off slow, more ballady, but also it has a riff to it as well. But then it ends with like a strange kind of psychedelic samba bossa nova fusion.
Mm.
And that's how that ends. And they're just like completely different halves that we like to put together. I just I'm a 70s prog girly and I
New favorite
just
phrase. Thank you.
I just love that shit. I love like turning things around and doing things that are unexpected. And um, so it's just kind of a trick that we like to pull out sometimes. And it just felt right for Perfect 2 because I really wanted to, again, I wanted it to end on some kind of hopeful note,
Mm,
something that picks up and like drives you to move and brings like literal movement, dance, action. And it felt right to have it speed up like that into that kind of a beat
yeah.
um, to inspire movement.
That I love it. I love when like the actual thing music does also represents this idea of what you want the song to be about.
Sure, yeah, totally. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
Also it just sounds good, by the way.
Thank
Like
you.
you
Oh
you
God.
it straddles this perfect line between obviously, it doesn't sound like an actual record made and what am I trying to say? The sound quality is good and it's modern, but you are also able to like have it sound kind of dirty,
Yeah.
in a really great way and not a, oh, they were really limited kind of way. Like this is the
Yeah,
best they could do
no.
at the time. Like
No,
this was a choice.
totally.
Like it's clearly a choice and it just sounds good. So what can you tell me about recording this? What were you
Well,
thinking before you went in the studio? Did you have a thesis for this recording like you kind of did for the band and the songs you
a
wrote?
little bit. We knew that we wanted to we had 5 songs that we definitely wanted to record, and we wanted to make them fuller and heavier than our previous album. And our manager, Dan, had connections through his work. Um, he tour managed for Failure one year. And basically, Jonathan Russo worked on that tour. And so we linked up because Built to Spill came through Joshua Tree at Pappy and Harriet's. We played a show there.
Okay.
And we had like an extra day off. So I went over and I stopped by Rancho de la Luna Studios and I got to meet Dave Ketching and Jonathan. And they were just so sweet. And they, showed me the studio and it just looked like the perfect environment for us to record this EP. So I was immediately in love with it. And I've been a fan of like the Desert Sessions were recorded there and other great heavy albums were recorded there. So I just felt like we would be in really good hands working with Dave. So, yeah, so we scheduled the time and the 3 of us came out and we stayed there for, I think it was like 5 days? No, 4 days. We stayed for 4 days and recorded the 5 songs. And yeah, they just made it so much heavier. They let us use all of their equipment and their knowledge was just kind of at our fingertips. It was really great to talk to Dave like on what he recommended for my bass tone and what amp should I use and for this recording, and um I was using one fuzz pedal, but he had like drawers full with
Right,
other
of course.
fuzz
Yeah.
pedals,
There
and he
goes
just,
the whole day is playing
yeah,
around with all
right.
these fuzz pedals.
Yeah. And he just had like really great recommendations and seemed to understand our genre and our style really well. Um, so they set us up quite nicely with that, and I'm very grateful that they understood what we were going for. And then I think maybe the raw sloppiness is kind of like just how we play anyway. And then it has like a really good production quality to it because of who we recorded with and how we did it. And then afterwards, I was just so happy with how it was mixed. We worked with Paul Malinowski, who works in a band called Shiner,
Hmm. Hmm.
and they're an incredible heavy band. And they kind of
Hmm.
have like a similar style to us, a little bit heavier. Um, but I listened to their music and I knew some recordings, Paul mixed it, and I just knew that he would understand us too. And he just did not disappoint. I think he sent like just the first round of mixes, and we were like, perfect, you're done. Like it was great. Totally
That's
nailed
rare.
it. Yeah, right? It was just such a great pairing. He really had like a great understanding of what we were going for. Um, yeah, so it's really special to have this EP come out because it just feels like this like snapshot of time that we spent at Rancho in the desert. And in the last song, Mudlark, the song fades away at the end, and you can hear like coyotes yipping in the background. And that was
Oh,
a recording that I grabbed on my phone at
right.
night.
Right.
Walked out like, oh my God, like recorded it. And it was a really great, I don't know, it just felt like a really nice texture to add to the end of the song. And it just perfectly captures the time that we spent there. Um,
Now you've been
yeah.
doing a lot of interviews for this EP coming out, and I think you have a tour coming up in early
Yeah.
2025. Not sure when this episode will be out, but it's are you out in February? Is that it? Or
We're out this month. It starts the 17th.
January? Okay.
Yeah. The 17th.
So you just got back from tour because that's when this will come out. No, but so you're doing a lot of interviews, and I am always curious, with the women I interview, like, what are you fucking tired of being asked? And what do you wish people would ask about, but they just don't?
Hmm. It's interesting. My inclination is to say like I'm, I'm tired of being asked like what's it like being the first like group of women in Built to Spill and and like it's true though, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
women in that band and me and Teresa. And then also um, as just playing with a group of women in Blood Lemon. But at the same time, I I'm tired of it, but at the same time, I don't want to shy away from it.
Mm.
Um, it's such a weird balance um, because it is definitely a different experience, being a woman in this industry and um, especially in the type of music that I play too. Um,
Tell me about that. What do you mean?
well, oh gosh, I feel like, well, especially in Blood Lemon, the type of music that I play, we we play heavier music, and so we kind of align ourselves a little bit with like doom metal bands, but we're not a doom metal band though, we're kind of hard to put in a specific spot.
Hmm.
And I think that's why we choose like a general term like post-riot girl, or
Is
alternative.
that how you describe yourselves?
Kind of a little bit,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
because of that's kind of how we came up, and that was the concept is like this after Riot Girl kind of ethos. Um, but I mean, it's so weird. It's tough. It's like I wish people would um, give us a chance in the sense of like um, how we respectfully show our love for heavy doom
Mm,
metal
mm.
music. Um, some people do totally get it and some people don't. And there's publications that we've like multiple times have tried to send our music to, and they're like, sorry, it's like not heavy enough. It's not, sorry,
I
And it just,
identify with that a little bit.
yeah, it speaks to me, it speaks volumes of the exclusivity of metal music, which I think is in a weird way kind of dangerous. Um, I think exclusivity in metal it isn't good for its genre by any means.
No, and it's boring.
And it's boring. It's boring. And like you can't tell me that like metal audiences don't like to blast Chapel Roan sometimes, like it's
Right,
like
right,
we
right,
all just
right.
have that. Like we all love pop music too.
How fun is this song to play live?
It's very fun. Um, we did it right after we wrote it. We just decided to play it live when we were opening for Built to Spill, and I was doing double duty every night. Um, and it was like the crowd favorite. Everyone kept asking, like, after we played and they would come to Lisa at the merch table, they'd be like, where is that song? Where can I buy that song? I think it just really, it hits people. It hits
Yeah.
people hard.
I
And
think
it
I
does
have to
exactly.
remind myself, like, people love to sit in a riff, you know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Yes. I do. It's my favorite shit. I love that shit. Oh, yes. And just like a nice, slow riff. There's nothing like it. I became such a huge fan of Earth growing up,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they're kind of like they're the band that we're all trying to be like, whenever we all have like the slow, heavy riff, it's like we're all just trying to sound like Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, there's nothing like it in the way that it makes you feel. It's relaxing in an odd way, but very cathartic. And yeah, it's such a beautiful thing to harness when you can.
Is the reception of this song, affecting how you're writing songs now? Like, are you
Hmm.
like, oh, people want more of this? No problem. Or are you like, we can't do it again? Or, you know.
Hmm. I'm not there yet. I don't think. I think I'm still pretty happy with the songs that we've been writing and like the direction that we've been going. Um, I haven't felt a need to like turn it in a whole different direction, if that's what you mean.
To cater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's what people like too. They like it when music is not really catering to them anyway. Yeah. Unless if you're a purist and, you only want to hear like heavy metal riffs all the time, which there's definitely an audience for that. But I think there's an even bigger audience who like the variety of it.
Yeah. Well, tell everyone what's coming up for y'all and where they can find you online.
Yeah, so our EP, Petite Deaths, is coming out January 17th. And on that day, we begin our tour, and we'll start in Portland, and we'll do a record store performance at Easy Street Records on Saturday. We'll play in Olympia that night, and then we'll play in Seattle Sunday the 19th. We're playing a chunk of these dates with a band called The Prids from Portland. They became really good friends of mine. Also ties to Built to Spill as well. Um, and yeah, and our tour ends back in Boise. I believe it's the 25th. And we're playing at El Cora Shrine Ballroom with the Prids again and a band called Pink Fuzz as well. Um, yeah, and that's the main tour. And then we'll be playing more later in the year. And then I'll be appearing with Built to Spill on a handful of festivals we're playing this year. We're playing at Treefort Music Festival in Boise in March. And then we're playing the Kilby Court Block Party in Salt Lake City. I believe that's in May, I think.
And where can people find you online?
So for Blood Lemon, you can find us on bloodlemonmusic.com on all the socials. And then with Built to Spill, the same, built to spill.com and all the socials as well.
Cool. Well, thank you, Melanie, for joining me about her lyrics.
Thanks, Shauna. I appreciate it very much.
Here's to not catering to others, being true in your art, and to listening to Earth more often. Thank you, Melanie, for letting me get to know you a little bit. That was great. Keep listening to hear Blood Lemon's song Perfect 2 in full. But before Perfect 2 plays, I want to leave you with a phrase that I find strangely comforting. You're not ugly, you're just poor. I've seen this sentiment around online for years. I don't remember where it came from, but somehow it's validating to know that if I had all the money that these rich fucking celebrities do, I could look like them too. They are not innately better people than me or you. They are not naturally that quote unquote beautiful. They just have more money than me. And I find it much more productive and realistic to be mad about inequitable wealth distribution than my crooked nose or my cellulite or my belly or whatever else capitalism is trying to tell me to change that day. So fuck them. You're awesome the way you are. And hopefully I'll see you offline at one of our shows on Tour with Helmet. Okay? Okay. You can support this podcast by liking my YouTube channel and sharing, subscribing, and reviewing But Her Lyrics wherever you get your podcasts. It's free and it helps. To find episode transcripts or to find out more about what I do, my book, my trainings, my Patreon, head to shaunapotter.com. To learn about all things War and Women, head to our linktr.ee, linktr.ee/waronwomen. We have shows coming up in the US and Canada, so please come say hi if I'm coming to your town. Or you can have me say hi by getting a cameo from me. Why not? And if you haven't already, subscribe to that Patreon. Thanks for listening. Bye!